Welcome to another video of Lingo Simple Japanese version. Today we're going over Japanese pronouns, which includes not only the polite forms, but also the rude forms that textbooks don't teach you. Let us begin. Watashi. This is the universally used way of saying I by adults, which means it is used both formally and informally, colloquially and in writing. Boku. This is used by males to be humble, which means it is used towards older or unfamiliar people that should be respected. And it's mainly colloquial. Atashi. This is same as watashi, but it's used exclusively by females of all ages. Watakushi. This is used by adults in very formal settings only, such as the government or ceremonies. Uchi. This is used colloquially by all genders and ages. It is slightly humble, so it tends to be used by younger people more often. Uchi is also the word for house or home. Ore. This is somewhat conceited, and it's used exclusively by males towards familiar males or younger people. Washi. This is used by old men, or it could be used jokingly by males who wants to feel older. Now moving on to the second person perspective. Anata. This is universally used polite way of saying you by all ages and gender. Kimi. This is also a polite way of saying you by all ages and gender, but it is directed towards younger or lower ranking people. Otaku. This is mainly colloquial. Tends to be used by adults without displaying any sense of hierarchy. Omae. This has a rude undertone. It is used mainly by males to refer to those younger or lower in rank. Anta. This also has a rude undertone like omae, but it's usually used towards someone of the opposite gender, by anyone that's about to argue. Kisama. This is the universal rude way of referring to the second person, and it can be used by anyone to anyone. Teme. This is rude like kisama, but is rather colloquial and is used by younger males to other males. Hence, it could be considered worse than kisama. Now moving on to the third person perspective. First one is kare. This is the universal he, without any connotations. And then of course there's kanojo, which is she, without any etiquette connotations. Ano kata. This is a very polite way of saying that person. Ano hito. This is a universal way of saying that person. It is not as polite as ano kata, but it's not rude either, so that's why it's the most common way. Hito means person, so literally it's that person. Aitsu. This is the rude way of referring to that person. It's used by someone who doesn't like that person he or she is referring to. Moving on to first person plural. First one is watashitachi. This is the most universal way of saying we. It can be used by adults and females of all ages. Next one is wareware. This is usually used by males, and it's universal as well, so there's no etiquette connotations. Then we have oretachi. Now this is, because it's starting with ore, it's male conceited. And so far, as you see, there's a pattern. When you add tachi, it makes the pronoun plural. Next one is uchira. Now this is the syllable ra added to uchi. As you know, uchi is also the word for I, and it's humble, plural, usually used colloquially. Now you cannot use uchitachi. That doesn't make sense. It does not exist. So this is a difficult part of Japanese grammar. Next one is washira. So this would be plural for old people. And third person plural. Firstly, second. Anatagata. This is a very polite way of saying you guys, or plural of you. Then there's antara. Now antara, as you can probably tell, anta is, as we referred earlier, a rude form towards the opposite gender. And you add la to it, makes it plural. Ano katagata. This refers to those people in a very polite way. Ano hitotachi. So it's the universal way of saying those people. It's not as polite as ano katagata, but it is not rude either. It's very neutral. Karera, plural of men, so day of males basically. Kanojo tachi. So this is the day for all females. Very universally used. Aitsura. This is when referring to a group of people that one does not like. And the number of people is usually countable. Whereas yatsura can be a very large unaccountable number. So it could even be based on racism or against certain nationalities or things like that. Alright, this comes to an end of Japanese pronouns. As you can see, the Japanese language is quite complex with different levels of etiquette and some irregularities to its grammar. But with enough practice, you can become familiar with them and will be speaking Japanese in no time. Once you reach a higher level of understanding, you can take a look at my other videos with example sentences to facilitate your learning. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and stay tuned for more videos.